Hi everybody, it's Oksana, and in this video I'm going to show you how I made Totoro Aromatherapy little plushie, or like a tiny pillow you could call it, and you can definitely make this bigger and make it almost like a real pillow, but it's pretty easy and quick, requires very little skill and really cheap materials. I got everything at Michael's. I got one piece of gray felt and one piece of white felt, and they were 39 cents each. There's some stuffing in there. I got a big bag of it. That was $3.99. And then there's a little baggie of dried lavender in there to make him aromatherapy, which of course you don't have to do, but you can if you want to. And that is the lavender dryer bag. There's a little box of them at Trader Joe's that comes with 4 of those bags, and they're just little paper baggies filled with dried lavender. So I just stuck one of those in there and made him aromatherapy. So if you want to see how I made him, then just keep watching. So the first thing you're going to need is a piece of felt like this, and this is just 39 cents at Michael's. It's just standard felt, and you can do whatever color you want, but I'm doing the gray color, which is Totoro's color. And you just need to freehand draw this shape on your felt. You fold it in half the way that I just folded it, and then you kind of freehand draw this shape. So just kind of almost like an oval wide shape here, and then the 2 ears. And then after you have drawn this shape, then you want to go ahead and cut it out. And since it's folded in half, the result is going to be 2 identical pieces of felt. So go ahead and cut that out. And what you want to do is you want to put your white piece of felt on top of the gray one, and you want to mark, this is the bottom of my gray one, you want to mark where it starts, like this. And this is going to be his belly. So what you want to do is, using your marks, you want to go ahead and draw just kind of like a half oval shape. That's going to be his belly. And go ahead and take a look at him, and keep in mind how high you want it to go. You don't want it to go super high because you want to leave room for his eyes. So if you want to measure how high you want it to go and then make like a third marking on here and go ahead and draw your shape, you can do it that way. And then go ahead and cut that shape out. So next you're going to need some needle and white thread, and what you're going to do is you're going to take one of these felt pieces, and you want the marker side to be opposite of you. So you want the non-marker side, and then this white piece, you want to flip it so the marker side is away from you as well. You want to center it there on the bottom, and we're just going to attach it by sewing it on. So just going to the back here for a second, just so I can start my thread and secure it. And then I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to sew on Totoro's belly. So go ahead and do this all the way around. So when you're done, you're going to attach the 2 pieces, the 2 gray pieces together. So you're going to need some gray thread. And you're going to turn this piece away from you and put it on top of your other gray piece. So this is the inside part. We're going to flip it, inside out when we're done sewing it. That's why the white goes on the inside. And you want to leave the bottom, so start on the side here and just sew up the side. I'm going to use a slightly different stitch here just to make it a little more secure, since we are going to be flipping it inside out and putting stuffing on the inside. And don't go super close to the edge. Give yourself like a few millimeters there, because felt can kind of fray a little bit, and so you don't want to, you know, get a little hole or a little gap. So I'm going to go ahead and do this all the way up the side and the ears, and just all the way around, basically just leave the bottom open. Alright, so FYI, you probably will have to start a new thread a few times to go around completely. And I literally didn't have just like this much more I needed. So I just started a new thread, and I thought I'd make it nice and long so I can just keep this, and then, you know, I'll close this up. So if you have extra thread, you don't have to cut it. You can leave it. So what you want to do is flip this whole thing inside out. It's up to you if you want to do like the ears first, or if you want to just do the body and then the ears, whatever's easier for you. Just pull it all through. And then you can kind of go back in and make sure that it's all nice and unfolded. Get the tips of those ears. There we go. So what we have to do now is stuff him, and I have this stuffing here that is only available around Christmas time, but it was only $3.99 at Michael's, and I guess it's supposed to be snow for like setting up your Christmas village. I think that's what it says, buffalo snow. And it's exactly like the stuffing stuff, it's just cheaper. So what you want to do is just grab little bits of it at a time and just stuff. Go ahead and do the ears first. And when you're stuffing the body, just go ahead and stuff it, but don't make it super tight. Leave just a little bit of room just so like your hand fits in. And once you're at this point, what you want to do, this is the aromatherapy portion, which of course is optional. These are some lavender dryer bags from Trader Joe's. This is just a easy, cheap way. This way you don't have to like order things online to get some dried up lavender. It's just in like this little bag, and you can get these little things out and pour them in there, or you can leave them in the bag. I prefer to just leave them in the bag. That's just easier, I think. And go ahead and put that bag in there. Try to keep it kind of nice and flat. And now you can kind of feel how stuffed he is and whether you want to put more stuffing in there. Go ahead and kind of stuff the rest as much as you want, as full as you want. So once you're satisfied with the amount of stuffing that's in there, you just need to close this up. So I have my thread here. I ran out of gray, so this is a light blue. But you just want to go ahead and just sew this bottom up like this. So just go all the way across the bottom, and it's up to you what stitch you use. This will be visible, whatever you choose to use here. Oops. So just like this. And if you wanted to, you know how we attached this little white part? I sewed it on like everywhere, including the bottom. So if you wanted to not sew the bottom and just close it up, when you do this, like as you're sewing, make sure you go through the white felt as well. That is another option for you. Just kind of cuts out a tiny bit of work there. But I figured the thread might be noticeable. This was before I ran out of gray thread. This light blue one probably would have been fine, but I thought maybe the gray would be too noticeable on the white. That's why I didn't do that. So just like this, the whole way, close it up. So once that's done, you can kind of press on the bottom this way so it's not like super pointy. Kind of looks more realistic. If you wanted to cut out a little tail, just like a little piece of felt and sew that on, you could do that for just like a little extra touch. I mean, you could really get fancy with this if you wanted to. You can like embroider his little whiskers and little nose. I'm just going to do the eyes though, because this is kind of like the quick, easy version, but you can definitely make this as fancy as you want. So this is my white piece of felt, and I'm just going to take an edge of it and fold it in half because I want to cut two shapes of the exact same size, and I'm going to cut out two circles for his eyes. Now if you want to trace them first, because you know, it is kind of difficult to try and cut a perfect circle, you can definitely trace it first, or you can just freehand it, and then you can always cut, you know, little edges off to try to get it a little more circular, whatever you prefer to do. Alright, so these are my eyes, and you want to just take a look and see how that fits him in terms of, you know, how big they are. If you want them to be a little smaller, whatever you want. I might make them just a smidge smaller. And in terms of the pupil, the black part, you can cut out another tiny circle out of black felt, or you can just take a Sharpie marker. I'm just going to take the same one that I used before when I drew my shapes out to cut out, and I'm just going to put a dot on there to make his pupil. So now all you have to do is just glue his eyes on, and I'm using some fabric glue for that. This is the fabric glue that I'm using. It's from Michaels. But if you have another glue that, you know, you maybe already have, you can use that. Or if you want to save money, if you don't have glue and you don't want to buy this, you can sew them on as well. That's definitely another option, but it's a little easier to glue them. So to glue them on, felt is very absorbent, so it's actually going to look like a giant blob of glue, but then it's just, the felt is just going to soak it right up like a sponge. So you do want to use a lot of glue. And now, if you wanted to make those little lines that he has 3 those little triangles up here, and then 4 right underneath. You can just do that with a marker if you wanted to. Totally up to you. You could sew them on with thread if you wanted. But there we go. Now he's complete. So that is how you make Totoro. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.